want me to take those off because they're in the recording as well? Okay, so we'll leave them up there. Okay, so here we go, and it is prosperity, and this is lesson number 3, and we welcome you. This week we're going to do lesson 3 is marinate your energy in positive juicings, is what it says behind that. And so we all say what? Abundant
blessings are shower me now.
I shimmer with excitement. I am prosperous. Those that are saying that at least 100 times a day, that will give you 700 impressions each week and 7,000 by the time we finish this class. Why that is so important is you know what is coming at you every day. With this coronavirus, you cannot turn on the news without scaring yourself half to death. You cannot, I mean, you just can't. And so what I say to you is we have to shower ourselves and immerse ourselves. When I say marinate, marinate means to soak in. It means to soak in the positive, to soak in your positive juices. And so it's challenging right now. So you have to do that positively. Now, I might ask that you might mute. Consuelo, you might mute yourself so that if you move around, we won't hear that. So anybody that's got dogs or dishes or you're doing something else, go ahead and mute yourself and then you can move around. But knowledge, like I always say, is of no value unless you put it into practice. And for with God, nothing shall be impossible. But I also love this one. God is lavish, unfailing abundance, the rich, omnipresent substance of the universe. This all-providing source of infinite prosperity is individualized as me is the reality of me. I am prosperity. I accept that. I want each one of you to tap your heart and say, I am prosperity. Accept that for yourself. Accept that as your true state of being. God wants us to be prosperous. It's just the way the big financial Bible says it all the time. So that's our true state. And we are better, stronger together. Because, beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health, just as your soul prospers. Be in health. It does not say, I want you to be sick with the coronavirus. It says prosper in all things and be in health. I'm going to accept that. If I got to watch TV or I can read this, I'm going with this one. Prosper in all things and be in health. If I have to make a choice, which is what I want in my life, I want this. Forget that stuff on the TV. This is what I want. Beloved. I love that, beloved. I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health, just as your soul prospers. And so here's that song, and I love this. This sticks with me for some reason. So here's Zephyr Conte singing Abundant Blessings. I love this song.
Abundant blessings showering me with prosperity. Abundant blessings showering me, showering me. Abundant blessings showering me with prosperity. Abundant blessings showering me, showering me. I'm shimmering, I'm glimmering, I'm shimmering, singing my song and I'm glistening. Abundant blessings showering me with prosperity. Abundant blessings showering me, showering me.
I just love that. That kind of sticks with me all week. I'm singing that song all week. And it's so easy, you know, and it fits right in with what we're wanting to say. And we say also, here's one. Jane, I'm specially sending this one out to you. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Feels so good, feels so swell. Every little cell is happy and well. Even that little quick ditty, you can sing to yourself every single day. When you feel an ache, I would start singing. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Feels so good, feels so swell. Every little cell is a happy and well. So every time you have an ache or pain, instead of grabbing the ibuprofen or whatever it is you use this song to change that and make yourself feel good. So every little cell, make it happy and well. And money in the mail. Money in the mail. I just see that and love that money in the mail. Joe, the guy that brought this to us to begin with, sent me the funniest email today. I laughed for 15 minutes over that. He said, right as I'm going to the mailbox, it's money in the mail today for me. And he said, I got so much money, I can hardly carry it back to my house. So now I just want money coming to my doorstep. So he's got a new song that he's singing about money coming to his doorstep. It's hysterical. And so it tickles me to no end every time he sends me an email. I invited him to come because I said, you make us laugh so much. But today we're going to go to Hawaii. So let's everybody get ready. Let's go to Hawaii. Yay! Yay! That's where we're going, to Hawaii. See that water spinning. And so we want to go to, here's the true story of the man who healed the whole ward of mentally ill, criminally ill patients in Hawaii, called with his Ho'oponopono. And this is what we do. Most of you know it so well, but every time we relearn it, it opens it up a little bit deeper. So more than 30 years ago, at a Hawaiian state hospital, there was a special ward in this hospital that you're looking at. It was a clinic for the mentally ill criminals. And people that committed extremely serious crimes were assigned there, either because they were deeply mentally disordered, or because they needed to be checked out to see if they were sane enough that they could stand trial. These are the criminals that had committed murder, rape, kidnappings, and any other violent crime. And according to a nurse that once worked there, she said in those years, the place was so bleak that not even the paint could stick to the walls. Everything was decaying, terrifying, and repulsive. She said no day would pass without a patient inmate attacking another inmate or a member of the staff. The patients were totally out of control. And the ward where they kept the criminally insane patients was so dangerous that people working there were so frightened to go in that most of the staff would call in sick almost every day. And the patients, once again, were totally out of control. And every psychologist that they brought in would quit in like a month. So staff would always walk down the hall, in the middle of the hall, but then they'd see an inmate come in and they put their backs up against the wall because they were afraid of being attacked by one of the patients. Even though these patients were always shackled and had a guard with them, it didn't matter. Many a time they had been attacked anyway. So again and again and again, the staff was very upset, and they were looking for a way to get their backs up against the wall so they wouldn't be attacked. And they were always threatened by the inmates. The scarcity of staff was chronic occurrence, and the nurses, the doctors, the wardens, the employees, the psychologists would prefer to be on sick leave most of the time in order for not to be confronted by a patient or an inmate, or that they would be in such a dangerous situation. So it was really, really, really a challenging time for this hospital and for the people that worked there. And so entered a new person, and they brought in this guy that entered, a newly appointed clinical psychologist, and his name was Dr. Stanley Hugh Lynn, or it's not, that's the name he went by, but Dr. Lynn is what they called him. And he arrived at the ward, and he acted as if, and he was asked to come work there because they wanted to see if he could use his spiritual healing practice that he called Ho'oponopono. Well, the nurses, like always, when they saw a new thing coming, what did they do, Michelle? You know what they did. They rolled their eyes, bracing, saying to themselves, well, this guy's not going to be any different than all the others that we've had. And let's see what he's going to try and make us do. And because the nurses always get it in their head that somebody's trying to make them to do something, some new theory or some new proposal that they're going to try out, and then they're going to get frustrated and leave within a month. I give him 29 days, you know, so they were all taking bets on how long this guy would stay there. But however, this new doctor, Dr. Lim, he was different. He didn't seem to do anything like that. Actually, he didn't seem to do anything at all. Daily, he just would come in smiling and waving to everybody, cheerful in a very natural way. And from time to time, he would ask for the files of the inmates. And professionally, Dr. Lin never saw any of the patients. He never counseled any of the patients. He didn't see them. He didn't counsel them. All he agreed to do was to review their files. So apparently, he just sat in his office day after day after day, and he looked at the files. And if a member of the staff kind of wandered in and showed an interest, he'd tell them about the weird thing he called Ho'oponopono. And he would tell them, he would say, well, I study the files, but I'm here to work on myself. I repeat a mantra every single day. And then when I repeat this mantra, I feel something. It's like an emotion, a pain, or empathy comes over me. And that's when I start healing myself by taking full responsibility for what was going on with this given patient. Well, little by little, the patients, after a few months being there, things started to change. So what he was doing was the patients were getting better, but the doctor has a strained view of what was happening. He was working on himself instead of the patients. And so one day, somebody finally decided they would try painting the walls again. And the paint actually stuck to the walls. Then someone else decided they would look at the garden, and all of a sudden, the garden started blooming again. And someone else went out and saw that the tennis courts were beginning to get repaired, and a few of the patients that up until now had not even been allowed to go outside started playing tennis with the staff. So gradually and miraculously, the patients began to heal, and the patients began to obtain permission to go outside unshackled, which was unheard of. And they didn't cause any problems with the hospital employees. They started being allowed to walk freely. Others that had been heavily sedated were now being taken off their medications or reduced. And those that had been seen as having no chance of ever getting released were starting to be released. The atmosphere in the hospital inside changed dramatically. So much so that the staff started enjoying coming to work. And so by near the end, the staff, they had more staff than they even needed. People were staying. They weren't calling in sick. They weren't quitting. And the atmosphere changed. So Dr. Lin's work there was for about 4 years. He stayed for about 4 years. And in the end, there remained only a couple of inmates that were finally relocated to other places, and the clinic finally for the mentally insane criminals was done, and it closed. And it was all done to Dr. Lin. And Dr. Lin was truly amazing because they couldn't figure out how a guy that could sit in his office all day long, looking at files, working on himself, could make this happen. So what happened to change things so dramatically? Well, he explained in his own language that he said, I'll be honest, I was simply cleaning myself with love, the part of me that shared the part with the patients. So he was cleaning the part of him that he shared with the patients. And he said, Ho'oponopono is recognized we are all part of one consciousness, a shared consciousness. And he said, everything that is in our experience is affecting our actions and our reactions. We are responsible for everything we experience. Let me repeat that. We are responsible for everything we experience. He said, I am totally responsible for everything I experience, and my entire world is what I have created. It's my own creation. Nobody did it to me. It is my own creation. And in other words, what he is saying is the shared consciousness was like, if one person's consciousness changes, it can change the whole. Let me repeat that. When one person's consciousness changes, it can change the whole. How he was doing this was he was working on himself. He saw the part of him that was empathetic to the part of the person he was trying to see different. And he changed his consciousness about what he needed to heal within himself. And that helped to change the whole. And so he believed it's what I think Gandhi meant when he said, in order to change the world, be the change that you want to see in the world. So what then happened, by using Ho'oponopono, Dr. Lin was able to take a difficult situation where it seemed like he had no control, working in a hospital that was totally out of control, that people were quitting left and right, and they weren't even coming to work because they were so upset. And the solution was that he knew he alone, listen to me, he held the power to help the difficult situation by focusing and open up the greatest power of the universe, which is love. So he didn't get angry. He didn't get resentful. He didn't get pissed off. He simply saw he needed to heal his part of himself to make that work. And so he simply focused love on the part of himself that he shared with the patients. So he simply focused love on the part of himself that he felt he had shared with the patient. And so Joe Vitale, who is a wonderful writer on Ho'oponopono, who really actually popularized it, said when he was first learning this, he said, this is tough to swallow. Being responsible for what I say and do myself is one thing, but being responsible for whatever everyone else in my life says and does is quite another thing. And he thought that was very hard. So we have to think, what was the mantra that Dr. Lin repeated and used? And the mantra he used was, I love you, I'm sorry, thank you, and please forgive me. I love you, and I'm sorry, please forgive me, and I thank you. I love you, and I'm sorry, please forgive me, and I thank you. I love you, and I'm sorry, please forgive me, and I thank you. Just hearing those words. And everyone I know gets hung up on those words. Whether we say it, please forgive me, I love you, thank you, I'm sorry. You can put this any which way you want to put it, and it will be okay, because that's what he did. Some days he said, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Some days he just said, I love you, I love you, I love you. Some days he just said, thank you, God, thank you, God, thank you, God. Other days he was called to say something else. But again and again and again, he addressed the part of himself. Listen to me carefully. Not the part of the patient, but the part of himself that he knew, which was suffering and hurting. No need to get hung up on exactly what you say. It's more or less what you're feeling at that moment. And so here's how he used it. And so who was he addressing? He was addressing the aspect of his consciousness that he shared with the other person. So the fact that the person was in his experience meant that they shared a part of the same universal consciousness. So the other person was suffering, that meant part of him was suffering. So I love this display because it comes together and it kind of creates that together coloring. I love this. He addressed that aspect of himself that was suffering, and he gave love to that aspect of him. He then felt sorrow for the distortion of his existence and projected love onto it. the infinite, unlimited, unconditional love. And he focused on healing that aspect that needed to be healed so it would be healed. And then he thanked the infinite for healing his problem. And so each time what he did was he repeated the mantra. As he repeated it, he went deeper and deeper and deeper, layer after layer. He was saying it to himself. He said, he went deeper and deeper and deeper until he was guided to move on. So each time you repeat, I love you and I'm sorry, please forgive me and I thank you, you go deeper into yourself to forgive yourself and let go. He called it cleaning. He called it cleaning the data of whatever it is that troubled or that was painful. And he said that he just kept cleaning himself, going deeper and deeper, trusting that the infinite God, the God within, God's source, however you want to say it, will take him wherever he needed to go. And so with him, he thought that he could understand that in difficult situations, whether it be every one of us are going to have these, whether it be someone at work that you can't get away from, or that might be your boss, someone in your family that you can't get away from because you're locked down, or it could be a crisis that is happening to the entire world like COVID-19. Who could imagine? Who could imagine that we would be in a pandemic like we're in? I mean, I can't even conceive that we could have been here. But what you have to understand is, even though you feel helpless, even though the nurses felt helpless, the psychologists felt helpless, the people in the hospital felt helpless, he came into that hospital. He didn't feel helpless because he said he held on to the power, and he knew that you can help the situation by maintaining your own focus on opening up the greatest power in the universe, which is love. Love is the greatest power. And as soon as you feel that you're in a situation like you see on these pictures, and you have that awful out of control feeling stirring inside of you, rather than your usual reaction to it, just focus on the mantra. I love you, and I'm sorry, please forgive me, and I thank you. Just focus on that. Either you won't feel so irritated anymore if you just sing it to yourself, or something will happen to change the situation. It may not happen immediately, but it will if you persevere and trust. Things will change. And so you've got to remember, that man, Dr. Lynn, healed the entire ward of criminally insane patients just by working on himself. He didn't work on them. They thought he wasn't doing anything. And yet he was doing all this brilliant work of sending love to himself, which healed that part of him, which then healed that part of them. And so all we need to do is recognize that we are responsible for everything that we are feeling. And just by working on ourselves, we can change things. This is such an interesting concept. You hold on to the power to help the situation. Focus on opening up the greatest power of all, which is love. So, as always, I always use everything I tell you, I use in my own life. And so this is my house. And it is a lovely house. I love my house. And like each of you, I have daily challenges. And when we first started doing Ho'oponopono, that was because I needed it. I needed it at that moment in time. This is how Ho'oponopono got into our class in the first place. 7 years ago, when I started doing these classes, my neighbor, Steve, who lived on the south side. So if you're looking at this picture of me, on the left-hand side was Steve's house. And over there, Steve decided that he wanted to build the wall between our houses. Now, the HOA said that the wall between the houses should be 5, and the highest it should go is 6 feet. And so Steve built the fence up to 8 feet. He decided he wanted to build that fence up on one side of my house, not on both sides, but on just one side of my house. But it wasn't enough for him to just do that. So he waited till I went out of town. He didn't ask me. He waited till I went out of town, and he got some workmen to build the fence up to 8 feet. To be honest with you, I didn't even notice when I got back because I was so busy working, and I didn't even notice. Now, had he just asked me, I probably would have said, Steve, as long as you take the heat from the HOA, I don't care. But if they ask you to take it back down again, you're going to fix my side as long as you fix your side. But he didn't ask me. And what happened was his workmen made it real nice on his side of the fence, but on my side, they slept down. Oh my gosh, the fence was ruined. And you can see my whole house is painted, and my fence was painted. And there was stucco all down on it. And the cinder blocks that they used, some of them they turned upright, some of them they turned down. So varmint and everything else can make nests in them. It wasn't a good deal. So all I needed to do was see him fix it. And so that's all he had to do. And so, but they erected it, and so I thought it would be only fair that he fixed it. So in the meantime, there you can see the fence. You see how much higher that is. It went way high. And so and it was funny because it was easy. And so I lived there for 30 years next to this guy named Steve. And so Mike, the other guy on the other side of him, his name is Mike on the south side. He came to me and he said, look, I've had run-ins with this Steve, and I don't think I can get him to fix the fence. But he said, would you go over there and see if you could, because you guys have been buddies all these years. Because he's single, and although I don't have any qualms to say, my gosh, because when he first moved in, oh my gosh, 30 years ago, the police were at that house every 15 minutes. He had party after party after party, and you could smell wafting of marijuana and every other kind of thing was coming out from that house, and police were always there. It was a complete disaster. And then he had dubious businesses that he ran out of that house constantly. And so for years, 30 years, I have been virtually the only person on the block that would even talk to him. But everyone that had worked for him would come to my house, and most of them in tears, because he had threatened them, he had fired them, he had sued them. And so they all came to me because they could never get the process server to find him, because he was like a bat. He hid all the time in his house. Until later, he started putting up cameras. And you can see, here's the camera that he had. And when he put up cameras, he directed them right into my house. Because what happened was, I went to him and I said, Steve, we've been neighbors for 30 years. And, the fence that you fixed, the fence that you made so big is problematic. Can you just fix it? Well, he went nuts. This is a picture of Steve, and he went berserk. He screamed the most horrible, horrible obscenities at me. He said things that to this day, that breaks my heart. I mean, words that he put together that were so horrible that I just couldn't believe it was dropping out of his mouth. Now, everybody that had come over to my house had said, this guy has got a hair trigger temper. He goes from charming to nutso in 30 seconds. But I'd never seen it until now. And when I did, it was scary. It was absolutely scary. This guy turned so fast, and he was so foul and said so many nasty things. I was crushed. I was crushed. So Mike and I now were stuck with this neighbor in between us, and he was a nutcase. And so after 30 years, this Steve decides that he's going to go to war with me. And when he did, he was something. He sent horrible, horrible texts and emails. I was getting like daily, massive amounts of these texts and emails. He put up surveillance cameras that I showed you. Every one of them were directed right into my house. He could see 24/7 everything I did. When I came, when I went, who visited me, everything. He could see into my dining room, He could see everything. And it was unbelievable. It was something. He'd wait till he could see me coming home from grocery shopping, and he'd see I was full with all these bags, and then he'd wait till I was not watching, and he'd throw a whole thing of firecrackers at me. And I don't know how many times I threw my groceries up in the air, and you know, all the bottles, you know, break and smash. It was a mess. And so then what he did was, when my daughter Maureen was getting a divorce from her husband David, he got a hold of David, and he told them he would give him 24/7 surveillance of our house. So David now had access to my house, and he started sending these videos to Marie to intimidate her and to intimidate me, so that he knew that he could watch everything that happened in our house. And then he started throwing, this is the picture of a tree that is in my front yard. He started throwing firecrackers into the tree and into that bush, and destroyed the bush, destroyed the tree, and almost caught us on fire. But he'd do it at 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. And so then you could never catch him. I called the police. I did everything. The police would come. They would say things like, well, there's nothing we can do. And I said, what? And they'd say, well, he's within his rights to put up cameras. He's within his rights. And I said, he's not within his rights to throw firecrackers. He said, have you got a picture of him doing it? Have you got video of him doing it? Because usually it was late at night. And so, of course, the video came out in the dark. You couldn't see him. And so again and again and again, he did these crazy, crazy things. And so finally, when the police after police came to the house, and they said to me again and again and again, you should get a gun to defend yourself. And I thought, so you want me to shoot my neighbor? I said, this was crazy. It was way out of hand. So then to his last resort, what did he started doing? He started suing me. He had a template of a lawsuit. And what he did was he just kept suing me, suing me, suing me, suing me. He sued me 5 times. And every time he sued me, you have to pay attention and defend yourself, because if you don't defend yourself, he wins the lawsuit and you have to pay him. So I had to hire a lawyer, and the first time, to FYI, your insurance company will pay for some of it, but they only paid for like the first 2. After that, he changed it just enough so I couldn't use it anymore. And what he would do, the first lawsuit, when they served me these papers, I got laughing so hard, I almost wet my pants. You know what his first lawsuit said? My neighbor is throwing sex parties in my backyard unbeknownst to me, and I'm suing her for that. I thought it was a prank. And so I laughed and laughed and laughed, but it wasn't funny. He was suing me. So finally, I was very desperate. My daughter was desperate. She was so upset because her ex-husband had such access to us. It was a mess. And I was desperate. I'll be honest. I even started looking to see if I could move out of the neighborhood, because he had made it clear. He said, I'm going to keep doing this till I financially break you, until I get you so crazy that you're going to move out of this neighborhood and I'll have this house to myself. And so that was his process. And it was horrible. And I even started looking at houses until the realtor told me that I would have to disclose that I had a crazy neighbor, and nobody would buy the house. So it was heartbreaking. It was just heartbreaking. So by the end, I would stand in my driveway, and I'll be honest, I was not kind. I was not good. I stood there just in my head screaming obscenities at him. I was so mad. I was so desperate. And then, you know what happened? Prosperity Recipes saved the day, as always, with Ho'oponopono. And so what happened was, I began a new class, and I started using Ho'oponopono. I was learning it, and so I wanted to use it in the class. First, I had to recognize that we are all part of one consciousness. Pay attention to me when I tell you this. It is a shared consciousness. We're all part of one consciousness. If you're in my life, you're in my world. I created you and drew you into my world. So that's what happened. Number two, I accepted everything that is in my experience is affected by my actions and my reactions. So I didn't blame anybody. All of a sudden, I knew it was what I did or did not do that was causing some of it. And I am responsible for everything I experience. This is not easy stuff to learn, but boy, does it change your life when you learn it. I then understood that I am totally responsible for my life, which meant that everything in my life, simply because it is in my life, is my responsibility. My entire world is my creation. And I began to understand that in my creation, if my consciousness changed, it could change the whole. Steve was part of the whole. If I changed my consciousness, I could change the whole. I kept hearing and seeing Dr. Lin in that criminally insane hospital. He sat at his desk. Everyone thought he was doing nothing. He was working on himself to heal that part of him that he had in common with that particular patient. And so I started to see that my entire world is my creation. I began to understand that it is my consciousness changed. I could change the whole, and I could change what happened in my world. And by using Ho'oponopono, I had control. Up to this point, I had done what everybody else does, an old reaction, that he had all the control and I didn't have any, which was crazy. So I let this guy take control of my life. I said, no way. I can take a difficult situation where it seems like I have no control and create a solution. That was so paramount to me. The solution was that I hold the power to help a difficult situation. And by focusing and opening up to my universal power of love, I could do this. So I began to simply love the part of myself that I shared with Steve. Do you know how difficult that can be? I started loving myself, the part I shared with Steve. First, I had to admit that I had a shared part with Steve. And so, like Joe Vitale said, whew, this is tough. This is tough to swallow. I could see being responsible for my own self, but being responsible for everything around me, that was not easy. And it isn't easy. It meant that I had to be conscious daily. It meant that I had to put into practice in my own abundance test and everything I was teaching everybody in class. It meant that first I had to know what I wanted. I wanted peace restored to my neighborhood, to be honest. Believe I could have it. I deserve peace and love in my life. I deserve that. He didn't get to take that away from me. I deserve to have that in my life. I had to take action. Conscientiously change my automatic reaction to be angry at him because he showed anger towards me, and then give thanks and praise before it arrived on physical form. I had to thank God daily that I had restored peace in my neighborhood. So my new routine began, and instead of standing in my driveway yelling obscenities in my head at him, I started standing in my driveway, seeing him at his doorstep with my arms wide open and up. And I'd say, I'm building a bridge of understanding and a tunnel of love right over to his house. And I healed myself and I healed him. I just kept seeing healing love, because anger had not worked. I'd already tried that. It didn't work. And so I had not too many things left available to me. So love, if he could heal an entire hospital, I think I could help heal my neighborhood. So I started standing there and I did it every day, every single day. And then I repeated the mantra, I love you, and I'm sorry, please forgive me, and I thank you. And I was saying, I'm sorry to myself that I didn't feel or understand how that I was hurting and how much pain I was in. I said, please forgive me for adding to your pain and hurt by not taking care of this sooner. I said, thank you to myself for giving me the opportunity to heal myself one more time and clean this from me, clean this from me, clean this from me. And I love you because you are a child of God, and so is Steve. And I began to see myself healing myself, healing him. Well, I can honestly say to everybody, July 1st, 2020, Steve moved out of the neighborhood. He just disappeared, literally disappeared in the middle of the night, I might add. Hallelujah, hallelujah. He just disappeared. And what had happened, you can't imagine what happened in this neighborhood. Within minutes of everyone understanding that he was gone, it was like the reign of terror was over. Because even though I was the one that he took out most of his anger on, he had sued in the last lawsuit 19 people. Half of them were the people in our neighborhood. He even sued the FedEx man.
Oh my God.
But it was my going to court that finally had the judge declare him a vexatious litigant, because I went to court. I didn't have a lawyer because I thought, this guy's not going to break me. These lawyers are costing me a fortune. I went. There were 8 lawyers in the court, the judge, the policeman, and 2 lawyers on the phone, and Steve didn't show up in court. The judge tells everybody, I want you not to do anything. I want you to just be quiet because I'm going to make a ruling. I could not help myself. I jumped right out of my seat and I said, sir, I have been sued 5 times and I deserve to be heard. I said, I'm standing in your courtroom today. You have a policeman and all these people to protect you. I live next to this man who is descending into mental illness. He's off his medications. I have no one to protect me. And daily I am up against the most absurd, insane kinds of things coming at me. I am begging you to help this situation so that we can get to some kind of healing in our community. If you will stop him from being a vexatious litigant. He has now sued 42 other people, and just with us, that's not even including my lawsuits and the other people he sued. I said, do you know the money that is costing the court system to let this man come in again and again and again to do this? I beg you, please give us an ounce of peace by taking away this, because he has made it clear it is his weapon of choice to sue people, to financially take us out and to stop us. So if you will stop that, we can start to heal and bring our neighborhood back. And because of that, he then was considered a vexatious litigant and couldn't sue again. And when he couldn't sue again, that was one of his big weapons that was taken away. So, and I said, I hold no animosity towards this man. I send him love. You have to understand, you have to take this weapon away from him. And when he did, that helped to stop a lot of this. So all I can say is thank you, thank you, thank you, God. Peace has been restored to this neighborhood, which is exactly what I asked for. I asked specifically for that. And so, Ho'oponopono, do I think it works? Yes, it does. And so I say to you, what is the mantra that we sing? We say, I love you, and I'm sorry. Please forgive me, and I thank you, because we are a part of the whole. Once you understand that we are part of the whole, everything changes. We are all one. Ho'oponopono is an updated version of the old Hawaiian problem-solving process. It's a way to release the memories, the beliefs, or programs that we've recorded in our subconscious. This is what I'm always talking about, those beliefs that are stuck. And so these memories and beliefs are activated by our thoughts. And our mind is a thinking machine. You have something like, what is it? I used to know that 30,000 thoughts a second or a minute, or I'll have to look it up again. And the thoughts come into mind even without you realizing them. And those thoughts, most of them are automatic, activates a memory or a belief stored in your subconscious mind. Then it can manifest itself as a problem that can reoccur in your life over and over and over. How many have had the same problem? You've brought it into life again and again. I've seen people marry the same person over and over and over again, even though they know that is what, but it's stuck in their memory, and so they just keep attracting that same kind of person because they didn't do the work on who? Themselves, not on the other person. As long as you blame the other person, your life cannot move forward. It can't, because then you just have to get another person to blame it on and another person to blame it on. So only then, once we have seen that problem, can you accept your problems as a chance to clean your life from the inside out. We can appeal to the divine within, who knows our personal blueprint for healing of all of our thoughts and memories, and that we are holding on to from a time from the past. And Dr. Lynn says, I don't need to know what is happening or even feel guilty, since I don't know why I activated the memory in the first place. But the memory, belief, whatever you call it, what you want to, is manifest itself as a problem in my life. When I try to solve my problems by myself, I may fail, because I turn once again to the memory of my part of my ancestors. When I allow the divine intelligence, the God within, God without, to solve the problem, the solution appears perfect. I don't know, I personally don't maybe know what's best for me, but I allow the divine intelligence of me to give me the right answers. When I assume 100% responsibility for everything that I manifest in my life, that way, if I wonder what's going on in my head that I'm expressing this problem, I simply say to myself, I love you, and I'm sorry. Please forgive me, and I thank you. I love you, because I know I'm part of the divine and therefore perfect in my own home, my own being. I'm sorry that I have expressed this problem in my life, since I'm 100% responsible for it. Please forgive me, because I'm asking forgiveness to myself so I can release this back to where it belongs. And I thank you for this problem that has manifested itself in my life. Now I have one more chance to clean my life up. I'm thankful that this problem has a proper solution and has been resolved. When I take that action, it changes me. It changes me at depth. By repeating the words, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and I thank you, which are the key words to reach the subconscious mind, we are releasing painful memories that cause the problems in our lives and the lives of the people who are involved in this problem with us. No one can guess what your next thought is going to be, because thoughts come from the subconscious. Because I don't have control over that, which will be the next thought, I can act or not act. A lot of people just let this go, and then it just keeps repeating and repeating. When I say act, I simply mean I can clear these programs, memories, or beliefs that manifest themselves as problems. When my beliefs are causing me challenges, then I need to work on those. And I may not resolve the problem, only conceal it if I just use myself. But if I use the God within, if I use the divine intelligence, the universe, you call it what you want to call it, then what happens is I have the ability to take care of that problem. We're going to clean, delete, release. And isn't that what I say when we do the be aware of what your beliefs are, create a vacuum, and then fill the vacuum? So you clean, delete, and release these memories, these beliefs, these old programs that no longer serve you with I love you, and I'm sorry. Please forgive me, and I thank you. To the divine intelligence, that is, it neutralizes and erases those painful memories that we store in the subconscious and transforms these energy into pure love. Oh my gosh, it's into pure love. I'm asking love to rectify the error that is in my life by saying, I love you, and I'm sorry. Please forgive me, and I thank you, because I know we are all perfect. What is imperfect in us is our memories, our beliefs, and our programs stored in our subconscious mind that we share with other people. As soon as I clean it, delete it, and release it, what is imperfect in me, automatically the other person involved with this issue also will be cleared of these memories that are manifesting as problems. Let me repeat that. The other people involved with this issue also have cleaned their memories that are manifesting their problems. What I have to do to be 100% responsible for everything that appears in my life is say, I love you. When your soul experiences memories replaying as problems, say to them silently or out loud, I love you, dear memories. I'm grateful for the opportunity to free you and free me. I'm grateful for the opportunity to free you and free me. I'm sorry, and please forgive me. And thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, the divine within me, my super conscious mind, or whatever you want to call it. Remember, your thoughts and memories never go on vacation. Listen to me. Your thoughts and memories and beliefs never go on vacation or retire unless you retire them. Cancel these memories, beliefs, and programs, and then what is best for you will begin to appear in your life. Isn't that interesting? Will begin to appear in your life. Steve moved out on July 1st. My grandchildren come back on July 4th. That is just not a coincidence. Now, is it? So, Ho'oponopono we'll be using every single week. And every one of you, I know, have used this in your lives. And we're going to go deeper and deeper and deeper into bringing this and cleansing out all the stuff that no longer serves you. If you've got relationships and information that no longer serves you, let's take a look at that. If you've got health beliefs and programs, we all have different programs that we run. Whatever's going right in your life is what you can do in every area of your life. If you're good with finances, but your health stinks, then let's use what you use with your finances to get that up and running. So you've got this ability. So now, even if you don't understand it, just start saying, I love you, and I'm sorry. Please forgive me, and I thank you. And so we're going to release Ho'oponopono. We are all part of one consciousness. And so we all know we're responsible for everything we experience. This was tough because we're almost taught as kids to blame everybody for everything. And I'm up against a guy right now he blames everybody for everything. He takes not a modicum of responsibility. So I've got to heal that part of me so that I can help to heal him. Sometimes it seems we are powerless to change things. When I first went up against Steve, my gosh, I felt so powerless. I felt helpless. Someone at work or your family or a global crisis. But you've got to remember, you hold the power. We help the situation by keeping our focus on the greatest power in the universe, love. So instead, it doesn't mean you don't do anything. It just means that you have to clear that part of you so that you can give yourself that kind of love so that you can reach out. And just, energy, we'll talk about that in a minute. Rather than reacting in your usual way to what happens to you, focus on the Ho'oponopono mantra. Put the focus on you. Things will change. Even by hearing these words, I love you, and I'm sorry, please forgive me, and I thank you. There's a whole different vibration that comes to you than the anger that you have when you're mad at somebody. And so, number 5 is focus on you. Address the consciousness that you share with the person that drives you crazy. Let me repeat that. Address the consciousness that you share with the person that drives you crazy. The fact that that person is in your world indicates they are part of your same universal consciousness. This one always makes me laugh because that's to me that was the hardest one. Yeah, so then you have to, if the other person is suffering, that means what? A part of you is suffering. Heal yourself. Give yourself love, forgiveness, and thanks. You know, it's interesting. You would never say to another person out loud the things that you say in your head to yourself. Never. But the things you say to yourself, oh my gosh, they're disastrous. So you've got to start loving yourself. And each repetition of I love you and I'm sorry, please forgive me and I thank you heals another layer. Go deeper and deeper and deeper. You might want to even record yourself or go on YouTube and get the recording that the Hawaiian Choir made of this, which is exquisite, and start playing that when you walk, when you run, when you jog, when you swim, when you do whatever it is you do that moves. So until healing is manifested, whether that be physical healing, mental healing, moral healing, emotional healing, whatever kind of healing that you need, then and only then can you move on. So this is all about the energy that you want to bring. And so I say to you, anything that happens to you or you perceive is your own creation. The whole world where you live is entirely your responsibility, 100%, no exceptions. Now, when people hear that the first time, they start blaming themselves, their mother, their father, their sister, their brother, their aunts, their uncles, it's ridiculous. It's nothing about blaming. It's just about taking responsibility. It's not your fault or anybody else's fault. It's your responsibility to heal yourself in order to heal whatever or whomever it is that appears to be the problem. So you take 100% responsibility for you. It is so freeing. It is so freeing. I love this because in my opinion, it is just so freeing. So, and let's get back into thought energy because we know that thought energy vibrates at a specific frequency. Your thoughts vibrate at a specific frequency. Everything on planet Earth is energy. Everything, every thought you think, the pure energy that vibrates at a specific energy. Everything on the planet is energy. Every plant, animal, person, and thought is energy. And so roses vibrate at a very high energy, and that's why they're always the universal flower that we give for love and that we give for healing. We don't give people in the hospital weeds. Why don't we give them weeds? Because they vibrate at the very lowest. And so roses vibrate very high frequency. That's why we always give them out as love. And have you ever been thinking about somebody and all of a sudden they call you and you say, I was just thinking about you. And so why? Because you're on the same frequency. And it doesn't matter. Time and space do not matter. It can go through. I adored my mother. And I used to go, and I could be 1,000 miles away from her. And we would call each other, and she said, honest to God, Maureen, I was just thinking about you. And I would say, Ma, I was just thinking about you. And so it was because of that vibration that happens. Like attracts like. That's why when I was getting divorced from my husband, Jim, I was angry. So who did I attract? Angry people. And so you don't know why some of these people are attracted into your life, like Steve just happened in, but I attracted him in, so I had to take him back out again. He wasn't going to leave by himself. I had to do it. And so I loved him right out of my life, just loved him right out. And so if he'll go somewhere else, and I hope he finds love. I do. But I wanted him to go and go somewhere else. And so, and I want you to turn into 100% pure, sweet energy. You see, the radio station sends out radio waves. You can't see them, but they work, don't they? You tune your car in. If you wanted to listen to country music, you turn into 107.5 and you get country music. If you want to hear classical music, you go to 86.5. And guess what? If you turn 86.5 and just turn it to 86, You don't get classical, you might get hard rock that jars your soul. And so you have to manually tune in to the station you want to listen to in life. And that's exactly what your energy is all about. What happens is you can be just off by 0.5 and the frequencies miss each other. They go like this instead of going like this. Instead of being alike and meshing, they miss each other. So you can miss each other simply by being on a different frequency. So conscientiously, you must tune in to positive energy or you'll be playing somebody else's energy. And so what happens is you want to get to 100% pure energy, because 100% is that. Why 100? Because in week 1, we learned 10 is the multiple of 10 is an increase in expansion. I always pick 100 because it's an expansive number. It's expansion. And you automatically tune into that, your sweet energy, so that you can draw other sweet energy to you. When you've got negative energy, if your health is off, and we know people that, you know, their knee hurts, their elbow hurts, their back hurts, and this hurts. And if you ask them, how are you? What do they say? Well, everything hurts and you just don't know. And my life is so miserable. So the universe is always listening. And what will it send you? More of what you keep talking about. So if you talk about ill health, if you talk about disease, if you talk about this constantly, the universe has nothing but to offer you more illness, has nothing to offer you. Because when you say, I have no money, I have no money, the universe has nothing but to offer you no money because you keep asking for it. So be very, very, very conscious of the words you speak. Tune your radio into negative thoughts from others. You don't tune into that station. Don't turn into the, you can hear the TV station and get the news that you need, but then tune it out. Do not listen to it all day long because it will absolutely go down into your cells. Don't do it. Go to 100% pure sweet energy. Don't go to classical automatic thoughts that you had at age 3, at age 10, at age 12. Decide you're going to change your life by putting in new thoughts and new ways to think. And pop hits of today. Don't decide to go with that. Let's use Ho'oponopono. Let's use the words that we know will vibrate at 100% pure, sweet energy. I love you and I'm sorry. Please forgive me and I thank you. You can't get a better vibration than what you want. You have to tune into the frequency of what you want, not what you think you have. Don't turn into today's frequency. You've got to tune into the frequency of where you want to be, because you know everything on planet Earth is energy. Everything. And my dear friend Albert Einstein says, everything is energy. And that's all there is. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. Let me say that to you again. Let me let go of these pictures just for a second to see this. But everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot get that reality. That's what you want to do. You want to get to the reality you want, not the one that is just out there. And so that's what you need to do, is to match the frequency of the reality you want. So hold on just a second as I light up my reality. And so what we want to do is we want to do what Albert Einstein tells us. Match the frequency of the reality you want. All right, I'm going to bring you back now. And let's see if I can get you back up there. And there we go. And so what we do is, oops, let me see if I can get you back on here. And so next I want to talk about Bear Bryant. And Bear Bryant was the head coach one of the most winningest coaches in all of history of football, University of Alabama. He was there from 1958 to 1982, and I went to school in Alabama. I went to Troy State University in Alabama, so of course we heard about Bear Bryant 24/7, because Bear Bryant, he was in 38th season as the head coach at the University of Alabama. Roll Tide roll is what they used to say. 37 winning seasons. He was there 38 seasons. He won 37 of them, and he had 323 wins. Now, what he did differently than every other coach that I have ever known or seen was every coach that I know usually takes the tape every week of the football game that they're playing, and when they go in on Monday, he plays that tape back, and then he or she tells them everything they did wrong. I don't want you to pass like that. I don't want you to tackle like that. I don't want you to do this. Don't do that. So he is using spaced repetition and negative energy, so what they're going to get are more of those mistakes. What Bear Bryant did instead was he was brilliant. He wanted to raise positive team members on the field and off the field. And he felt that if he made sure that they were successful on the field, they would also be successful in their lives. And so what he did was he only set up everything he did for them to only feel winning. He knew if you felt that sensation of winning, then that's what you'd want to get back to. So every week when he had those tapes that he made, he took out all the mistakes. He did not replay the tapes with the mistakes in them. What he did was he took out the mistakes and only showed them the brilliant catch, the greatest tackle, the way they moved down the field, the way they took control of the ball. He showed them what they did right and had them lock that feeling into their system so that he could marinate them in positive energy and positive juices so that they would, because marinate just means to soak them in positive experiences that you'd want to get back to that. So again and again and again, you would know what that positive experience felt like. And instead of feeling ill, you would feel well all the time because you wanted to get that positive experience. And that's what he did. That's why he won so many times, because he marinated his players and soaked them in positive energy in their own juices. So that coach marinated his players in positive energy. He started with the end in mind. He did not say, well, you lost last week and you're going to lose again this week if you don't do this. That would never been anything he would have said. He started with the end in mind. We won last week, so guess what we're going to do this week? We're going to win again. And I know what it feels like to have a great catch. I know what it feels like to do a perfect tackle. I know what it feels like to move the ball down the line. And so that's what he did. He marinated, meaning he soaked his team players in absolute positive energy so that their juices, so every fiber of their being would understand success. They didn't know failure. And so if you only feel success and know success, you're going to go for success. And so, I love this picture. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transferred or changed. Change your negative energy into positive energy. Transfer that positive energy to everyone you come in contact with and shower them with abundant blessings. We love this class because the energy is always so high. I don't care if everybody's tired or whatever. We come with enthusiasm because we know we're going to learn something. Something is going to stick with you tonight that you might have heard me say. Some of this stuff you've never heard me say. Some of it you've heard me say more than once. But it doesn't matter. Tonight it's going to be like you just learned it all over again. And you're going to decide which of these things is going to be what you use. Change your negative to positive energy and transfer that to everyone. When you're walking, jumping, running, swimming, whatever it is you're doing each week that's moving, I want you to start smiling. I want you to smile as you go. I want you to start looking up, because when you look up, you cannot be depressed and look up at the same time. It's just physically impossible. So I want you to start smiling. Just smile at something. You start showering everybody with abundant blessings, because the more we help other people, the more we help ourselves. The more we heal ourselves, the more we heal other people. We are part of the whole. And as we will see ourselves that way, all of a sudden, life changes. Marinate your energy to positive and positive juices. What I mean is, I want you to practice this stuff daily. Don't just come once a week and get this and then don't do anything all week. Everything that I say in this class, I tell you that week, I don't need it. I need it immediately. As soon as I hear it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I needed to hear today. That's exactly what I needed to hear. And so that's what you do. What we do is we offer kind words to others. Make a decision that daily you have got to get some kind words out. And if you don't go out of your house, then call somebody, Zoom with somebody, text somebody. Make sure that every day you give kind words to another person. Smile often. I want you to start smiling all the time. Insist that happiness be your priority. Make it your priority. I'm happy because I am improving my health every day. Today, I know I have perfect health. My knee has been bothering me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that pain. I'm going to send it love. I thank it for giving me that minute to show that it needed some extra love. It gave me an opportunity to show that it needed love, and now I'm going to love it. And now all of a sudden, that pain has dissipated and gone somewhere else. I'm thankful and grateful. I'm not just thankful and grateful when things happen right. I'm thankful for the opportunity to heal myself every single day. I initiate positive words. I don't wait for somebody else to say a compliment to me before I give a compliment to them. I make it a decision. That's what I'm going to do daily, because once I start doing it with other people, then it becomes a habit. And I heal myself. I vibrate at a higher frequency. Vibrate, match the frequency of where you want to be. If you want to be whole and healthy, think, how does a whole and healthy person think? How do you think a healthy person thinks? Do they think about their aches and pains every day? No, they do not. Healthy people think about health. They think about, what am I going to eat today that's going to make me healthy? What am I going to move today that will make me healthy? Am I going to do a 2-mile run or a 5-mile run? Am I going to go swimming today? Am I going to talk to somebody today? Am I going to think positive thoughts? Am I going to see a race in my head and see myself winning that race with my hands up in the air saying, yes, 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 I'm winning? Vibrate at the frequency that you want. If you want vibrant health, then vibrate at vibrant health. Don't talk sickness. If you want finances and you want your debt to be gone, then vibrate at wealth. What does wealth feel like? What does having prosperity feel like to you? What does it feel like to have the money that you want and need without having to worry? Think that. What would a person that has already got prosperity, how would they think and feel? Vibrate at the frequency you want. If I want a love relationship, what do I have to do to vibrate in that love relationship? How does one vibrate lovingly? If I want more love in my life, what do I have to do different in my life? Do I stop getting angry at the traffic every day? If I'm driving, do I lose that temper? So you have to vibrate at the frequency you want and energize yourself daily. Don't wait for someone else to do it for you. What makes you laugh? Every time, if I really want to laugh, if I've had a day and I've heard some things that I don't want to hear, I've seen some things on the TV that might upset me emotionally, because I cry at the news. I've always done that. Even as a kid, I did. And I have a really hard time. So I can't let that linger in my mind. So that show, Funniest Home Videos, is very funny to me. And I record a whole bunch of them, and I'll watch the same one over and over. It doesn't make any difference. I just laugh. I will give myself an hour of laughing And I tell myself, you deserve an hour of laughing. So if I need a good laugh, that is what I do. So I'm sure there's videos out there that do it, but I love to watch my big screen TV. So I like to watch it. So whatever energizes you daily, start doing it. If you need to talk to people, get someone of everybody. I've given you your numbers and your emails. So pick a prosperity partner and start calling them or texting them every day, just giving you a thought for the day. So just do it. And so, because we know when we come together, we experience the power to influence change quicker. This group, we manifest. We manifest. We are manifesting. And so the Abundance Banquet Hall, I'm not going to do that tonight because we're almost out of time, but I want you to do that for yourself, maybe later today or tomorrow, to bring into your own existence your banquet hall like we do every week, because you get to decide your prosperity. COVID-19 doesn't do it for you. Loss of business doesn't. I have got zero business coming in from my speaking. So I could be in Great Depression right now. I choose not to be, because then no more business will come in. If you're depressed, I guarantee you that's a great way not to bring in business. So don't do it. Don't do it. It's very easy too, but don't do it. You create the abundance hall that you want. You create what you want. So start creating. Go home and think about it. Think about your maitre d' coming to you and lifting up. And you have all the things for vibrant health, harmonious relationships, purposeful purpose, and dream lifestyles. What do you want? The clearer you get it, the faster the universe can bring it to you. You must always get up and get your own results. The universe will bring it to you as long as you let the universe, God, the God within, know. But if you don't know what you want, you can't have it. You're not going to get it. And so we know, take responsibility, be aware, take inventory of your mind pantry, which are your beliefs, your programs, just like Ho'oponopono asks us. Look at what your beliefs are. Here's another way to do it. Create, release what is no longer serving you. Bless it, send it on its way, let it do its work somewhere else. If you've got excess weight, send it off to one of those skinny people that need it. They need it. Give it to them because they need that. And then that vacuum. If you create the vacuum by releasing stuff that no longer works for you, if you don't fill it, you're going to get back, just like Ho'oponopono says, old programs that are going to run, and you're going to get the same lesson again and again and again till you what? Get it restored and cleaned and loved on so you don't have to have that lesson anymore. And that's what happens. So we say, abundant blessings are showering you now. I shimmer with excitement. I am prosperous. And so the thoughts you think, the words you speak, create the experience, the results you have. Watch your thoughts, for they become words. Watch your words, because they become actions. Remember, knowledge is no value unless you put it into practice. Vibrate at a higher level. Bring your thoughts up, bring your words up, bring your actions up. Vibrate at the frequency that you want to match. Vibrant health, harmonious relationships, purposeful purpose, and dream lifestyles. All things are possible with God. You could not come up with the solutions that God keeps coming up for you. You wouldn't have even thought of them, but they keep coming. So believe that they're there. Your job is to know what you want. God's job is to know how. And so we say, prove me now herewith. This is singly the most important thing of the whole night. I will open the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing that there shall not be room enough to receive it. The more you tithe, the more you receive. It's just that you have to tithe with an open, good, kind, loving heart. And the universe must send it back to you in the way you send it out. You give love, you get more love back. You give money, you get more money back. You give time to somebody, you get more time back. So you choose the things that you want and need in your life and test it out. Prove me now herewith. Prosperity is about prove me now. Prove these things. Prove Ho'oponopono works. Prove all of this is in your life and can be useful. So in your abundant test kitchen this week, practice, practice, practice Ho'oponopono. I love you, and I'm sorry. Please forgive me, and I thank you. You can say it any way you want. You can say it backwards, forwards, upside down. You can mix them up any which way. Just by hearing that vibration, that sound, those words, they will change your life to bring you vibrant health, harmonious relationships, purposeful purpose, the way to give your gifts and talents to the world, and the dream lifestyle, the bank accounts, the everything that you want in your life. So I say to you again, tonight is a wonderful night and every night. So this time for your homework, I want you to practice Ho'oponopono this week. I want you to go out and pick a problem or pick someone that is in your life that perhaps is bothering you or is driving you crazy. And I want you to just practice saying the words. If you do nothing else, but just say the words when you're standing there irritated with that person, just stand there in your head or say it out loud, whichever you would prefer, and just say the words. Okay? So that's how we'll start with Ho'oponopono. All right. Do we have any questions for tonight?